Hi, welcome to Posture Podcast. I'm Sarah and this is Jason. And at Posture, we work with clients on strategy and go to market. Over time, we've developed a method that helps teams make better decisions and align stakeholders around them. We're often asked what the go to market structure is and how to communicate that across functions. Our answer is basically a five lens framework, and that blends storytelling and with science, making the logical sequencing of go to market decisions clear and actionable. But first, we need to do our make it make sense.
Storytelling and science, Sarah. I like that.
Here's an email we got recently, and it says, I'm a go to market leader working in a large organization where go to market initiatives often require coordination across sizable cross functional committees. Those committees can be a significant bottleneck. What strategies or techniques have you found effective for managing that part of the process?
That's a really good question, actually. Yeah, I like that one. I, in no way, want to cast aspersions on any former coworker or team member or client in which we work together on epically large go-to-market committees and stuff like that. I have, over the years, I've done a lot of product launches. We've done over like 41 different product launches and feature launches, everything from apps to services, service layer stuff. And so there's a lot of different configurations about that. And sometimes the company, largely, I think, to make sure that everybody's on board, or at some point during some go-to-market debrief from the last campaign, someone said, "Hey, our group was completely left out," and it's a real problem where you get to be a large organization and you wanted people to be involved, and you need to figure out some structures for communicating to them. And unfortunately, I think a lot of times the solution to that is like a go-to-market working group that has like 20 people on it. And I think maybe two of the people are paying attention during meetings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I will own is that as a product marketer, I've never loved working with project managers. And that's because I tended to be very self-centered, arrogant, and controlling.
It's very self-aware of you. It's very self-aware.
At the time, I was young. As a young person, I just didn't. I didn't have that self-awareness. That came with age, unfortunately. The white hair on my beard. But what I was going to say is that I think the first part of this whole process for me, and one that I learned the hard way, has been make sure that the product marketer, the project manager, and the product manager get together in a room together and really have clarity about what they're doing, because there's enough overlap between the potential jobs there. Like a product manager or product marketer often says, okay, this is go to market. I'm in charge here. I own, like 3 years ago, I own 3 years from now, and I own the process of launching this thing, and should be giving a lot of the strategic direction around messaging and positioning and those kinds of things. Product manager is going to sit there and say, well, I own the product. I've been building this thing with the engineering team. It's my baby. I'm about to launch it. So I should control the leadership of it. And then the project manager is like, well, I have a Gantt chart, and I'm tracking what you just said minute by minute, and I'm going to hold you accountable for it. And so that three part, that triangle of go to market is a tough one sometimes, depending on the dynamics of the personalities of the people involved. So the first part of it is make sure you guys are on the same page and you have exact clarity about what is whose turf. Business, the business questions and the interaction with the business is the product marketer's job. If you think about it in terms of product to business conversation, that's product marketer. Product to engineering and development, and often customer experience, that's the product manager. The project manager is going to be the person literally lassoing people together. So as long as you guys are clear, that's step one in making sure this is not a bottleneck. I've seen a lot of infighting between those three people, and where there's no partnership, it becomes really, really problematic. In terms of the committee or task force, specifically, this is a very clear subset of what is it that you're going to do. And I often find that approaching each of the individual stakeholder groups with what are your goals around, what are your OKRs or KPIs around this launch? Customer success is going to say that it's going to be like X percentage of people on board onboarded in the first 30 days, or this percentage of customer CSAT around their service experience and those kinds of things. And then you say, well, what do you need to get that done? Well, we're going to need customer service scripts. We're going to need a knowledge base. We're going to need product documentation. We're going to need onboarding workflows. Okay, let's take each of those assets. When do you need them by? Like, how much time do you need that training to happen before customer service goes out and talks about this product? I always think they're going to say like 6 months, and they always say 3 days. Before. Like, we'll just have a meeting. They don't need to know. Like, well, okay. Well, if it's only 3 days, then, thanks for participating, but we'll be making decisions up to that point. But you really have to have a sense of when it is that you need to engage people and your stakeholders, because that's when they're going to feel left out. They are going to like not having to go to a weekly meeting that is boring.
Oh,
but
man.
They're going to
weekly meetings.
Oh. Yeah. I've had execution meetings where it like comes down to like every 6 months we're having an execution meeting. The next thing I do, I turn around and it's every month and then every week. And then daily execution meetings, you're like, this is just, why are we having a meeting every single day about this stuff? There's no work going, getting done, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, my point is really get to know the stakeholder, what they're trying to accomplish, and then exactly when it is they need to feel engaged, and make sure they're engaged at that point, that they have the product marketing materials, go-to-market materials and stuff like that they need to execute on their portion of the puzzle. And the third thing I would say is that go-to-market cross-functional meetings have absolutely nothing to do with execution. They have everything to do with politics. And so it's all about making people feel engaged. Buy them a t-shirt, get tattoos together. We're all part of the 20 something go-to-market strategy for this product. Like, everybody's on. Mention them every time you give a presentation, exactly who the cross-functional go-to-market strategy group is. They're awesome, right? But the reality is, what it comes down to is house calling. All politics are local. That's what they taught me at school. All politics are local. You care about what you care about. I'm going to talk to you. You're going to drive those decisions. You don't really care about the other decisions that get made. So what I'm going to do is keep you well informed throughout this process. Pay attention to you when you need to pay attention. Otherwise, you want to go do your job, and I want you to. So do you have a ceremony every once in a while with a large group? Yes. Is that where the work's going to get done? No. Figure out other structures to get the work done, and just pay attention to your stakeholders and manage them. And the cross-functional committee won't be a bottleneck, because that's not where the decisions and the execution is happening. And get along with your project manager. I've learned to do that. Some of my best friends are project managers. I can't stand
You're really good at that.
them.
You're good at getting along with a project manager. I, on the other hand, need you as a filter.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Let me translate for you what Sarah meant by that. She meant pass the salt. It came out as you're an idiot and I hate you. But she meant pass the salt.
Yes.
Okay. Well, hopefully that kind of made sense. And, it is a blessing and a curse to have cross-functional engagement. It's just keeping them engaged in the right ways, taking the mandate that they are going to be the person you communicate with them, but don't set the expectation that communication is going to be a decision being made every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. That meeting is going to be torture, and it's going to get in your way. And the work that actually needs to be done is you're going to be taking up all your time with that kind of stuff, rather than, people going off to their corners, executing, sharing back. And the go-to-market process can be on rails. The nice thing is sales never wants to be involved. So they're just like, give me the pitch deck and get out of my way. Here's your elevator pitch. Here's the messaging. Oh, what's the pricing structure? That's what they want to know. Can I give a discount? Yeah. If you're a salesperson currently listening, feel free to comment below about how much you agree with that statement.
Well,
If you're a
now,
customer success person, comment below on how much time your organization needs to train your customer success agents. I'm going to stop
well,
saying that.
speaking of efficiency and time and communication and messaging, I think that is a great segue into our marketing side eye.
Oh, marketing side eye is my favorite part.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it. We've been working on a jingle, but we can't manage to land on anything that like communicates side eye and is a jingle. Like
That doesn't have a
marketing
cuss word in
side
it.
eye. It's too uplifting. It's like too
It's too uplifting.
too uplifting. We need like something
We
that's a
should
little
use Gen
more,
AI for that.
yeah, dun dun dun.
Judgy musical jingle.
K-pop. Like, yeah,
K-pop.
exactly. Oh, I've got a good marketing side eye. This was driving me crazy
Mm.
the other day, and I thought about it. Uh, have you ever like so? There's actually like a term for this, I think, in growth marketing or UI UX, and someone correct me in the comments. Again, like that comment space is so important to me to help me understand what I have to do next. But it's like dark patterns. I think it's literally something like that. It's almost like
Mm.
dark web. It's like the dark web of marketing, and that is to like be totally shady and shame someone when they're trying to do something you don't want to. Like, you see this a lot with like email unsubscription flows or
Mhm.
cancellation pages. Oh, you're like, when
Yes.
your free trial ends, you're like, your that cancellation dialogue, they start to throw like super, oh, are you are you really sure you want to do this? Or like
Mhm.
accept all the cookies or you're a jerk. But they'll do like this real flow and the whole
Do you want to
concept.
wallow in misery and never
Yeah,
be successful ever again? Are you
I guess you
sure?
don't like having clear skin.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, okay,
Yes.
thanks, Keels.
Yes.
Whatever. But yeah, no, it's so yeah. Literally, you do see this, and you see it in the shadier parts of like growth marketing or content marketing, where that they'll place a button, and it seems like canceling it is going to be super easy when you start that free
Mhm.
trial, but when you go to the free trial, when it's ending, it becomes like this dialogue flow. Um, that is terrible. And the things that drive me crazy about it, we're going to talk a little bit more about go to market structure and lenses and how you're thinking about it. We just talked about go to market, um, cross functional groups, and of course, you're creating what is your plan around growth. And there's a couple of things that drive me crazy about this practice. Uh, Thing one is it absolutely jacks up your near term metrics in a
Mm.
completely false way. Like if people want to unsubscribe or they didn't want to make that purchase, this was the case with, I was thinking about the other day, there was an FTC lawsuit against um, Fortnite. And I play Fortnite only for the dancing. Speaking of jingles, I don't understand. Like I was really, really late to the trend where you do TikToks of yourself doing a Fortnite dance. My niece told me this, but she wasn't that cool. So it ends up being something where I found out about it years later.
She's not that
But
cool. Isn't she like 8 or something? Like
whatever, whatever. I don't want to talk about it. It's not. I love her. I love all my nieces. But like, if she's 8 and doing a TikTok, you should not do it. I think that's the major takeaway. This has nothing to do with marketing side eye. So Fortnite did this thing where it was purchases, and they placed the button in such a way that it was really confusing with other things that you could click. And we're talking about kids, young minor kids who do not have the intention to do an in-app upsell, or really probably should not be doing so until they have their own bank account and make their own money. Kids, just saying, if you're listening, this content was not created for you. But what I'm saying is that, like, so what they did was super shady in the sense that this was a confusing, it seemed like you're clicking on a feature. It was actually to purchase that feature. Kids were doing it, and then they would make it really hard to return, like to send back to sender, to cancel that purchase. extremely hard. And they use that confirmation shaming thing. So it jacks up that early metric of success because your users are not doing something they want to do. You're not proving out product market fit. You're tricking them into doing something, and they're explicitly saying, I do not want to do this. And you're not allowing it, so you're getting retention that you don't deserve, and it is a false indicator of what your long-term success around that product's going to be. If you want metrics that you can measure and say, hey, this is how go-to-market's going for this product or feature, those aren't the metrics you want. The other thing that drives me crazy about, go ahead.
Yeah, so Amazon had also a lawsuit, 2016, I think all the way to 2023, about their cancellation policy, and how it was like their messaging and positioning was convenience and, simple, easy, and then their cancellation process took them to just multiple prompts, continuous steps, going through steps after steps after steps, and not actually canceling anything, thinking the customers thinking that they canceled, but not, they didn't cancel anything, and they just kept getting billed. So they broke the trust. And
seriously broke the trust. I think that's like a huge call out. Like, I don't know that I 100% trusted Prime, but I do know that I have a crack-like addiction to getting stuff in the mail from Amazon. But like,
for real,
I go to Gate just to see if it came. Like, I don't even know if I ordered it. But I
get camera stuff, and I get garden stuff.
That's right. I'm going to have some birds delivered too.
I'm like, what do I have due to be delivered today?
That's right. So maybe Amazon is the one company that can pull this shaming thing off without actually having damage to their bottom line. But yeah, I don't know. It does. I mean, to your point, it breaks trust. You end up seeing like silent churn. Like, okay, I have to pay for this, but I'm not going back because I don't trust them, and I'm not going to click on something like so. So you have like dead users. If you're measuring your daily active users, your MAU or something like that, your MAU is going to tank doing that. You may have subscribers, but your trust level is eroding. I think that's right there.
Yeah, that's a big issue, in my opinion.
So there it is, shady from the dark ends of marketing, click shaming. If you guys are considering actually clicking off of this episode right now, Posture would like to remind you. You don't want to do that, do you? That would be. Would you feel bad for yourself? We're going to look at the metrics, and like suddenly there's going to be a major uptick in engagement right now because people are like, "Oh, you're right. I don't want to be that person."
Like fail at my go-to-market strategy or become successful by subscribing. Which would you want to pick?
There was a sales guy I knew. We're totally making this segment run long, but because we don't have a project manager. But there was a sales guy, and I thought this was the best question he would always ask. And I always cringed because I was like, this could go so badly. But he would always ask a prospect, so what would happen if you don't buy this? And you're like, it's not really shaming, but it does get people into this cycle of like, what is life like if I don't have posture consulting helping me? Well, I'm going to go back to doing it myself. But it's like, that's healthier. That's thinking through like the benefits and drawbacks, and what is the decision you're actually weighing out. It's not just about budget. It's about, workflow, life cycle, those kinds of things. This click shaming or confirmation shaming, that's just about trying to get someone to feel insecure about the decision they already know they want to make.
Yeah.
That's so shady. So I give a hearty marketing side eye to that one, Sarah. Hearty.
Okay, so let's go straight into the topic of the day.
Yeah, the topic.
Which is our 5 lenses, and it's our approach to go to market. It's a simple model we use for clients, campaigns we build out, or that you can use with your team or go to market cross-functional team to contextualize and execute. Now, I will say that Jason is an expert in these 5 lenses, and has really honed in on and developed and structured this, which to me was also very impressive. I just have to say that. So
Wow.
I'm not trying to suck up. I don't suck up. So the
We have no
compliment
proof
is
of that.
genuine.
We have absolutely no proof of that.
The compliment is genuine.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. That's great. No pressure. Okay. I want to go back to coworker side eye. Is that a segment? So I appreciate that intro, and yeah, there is a degree to which this does come from kind of years of thinking through the kind of stuff that we were talking about earlier. As Sarah mentioned, our kind of philosophy is that product marketing is a combination of storytelling and science. So a lot of times you might find someone who, it's all about the pitch. It's all about what the product is, the rah, 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 getting up in front of people, talking about it, and like getting everyone super excited. They're good at the story, right? People feel engaged with them. They understand what the product components are. Maybe they understand the messaging that you're selling and what you're telling them that they should go out and achieve in terms of vision or positioning for that product, messaging, that kind of stuff. The challenge is that science is a huge piece of this. And I don't like just mean, science. I mean, like there is a science to product marketing, and there are things that you should do. Our experience has taught us that there's a good order in which to do them, because that cycle of storytelling and science feeds into each other. You need to know certain things in order to say certain things. And then you use that saying certain things to build the story for your stakeholders or for the market. But you also have to know the science of the next thing. And so that's what our 5 lenses are all about. It's a process by which you essentially take the big picture and hone it down into a very execution-focused, budget-focused, feasibility-focused conversation. Each of those things you need, and you could call it a funnel or something like that. We liked lenses. We also like the colors pink and purple. We're like, oh, as a small company, we don't have to have a brand identity, yet everything winds up being pink and purple. So the 5 lenses are market, context, value, entry, and go-to-market. And so those are the frameworks that you should be thinking through. And in the same way that once you're in that go-to-market cycle, you've got a bunch of stakeholders, and you need to build out that understanding of what happens when. What's useful for this ultimately as a visual for me is that it sets a cadence, and it helps people understand where we are in that process. No, we're not going to rush to the operations of the go-to-market while we're trying to figure out what our competitive market is, or what the value propositions for the company is. So let me kind of just quickly walk through the lenses and a little bit about what we put into them. What we're going to end up doing, obviously, is into the future, kind of taking each one of these lenses, and to some degree we've done that already, and focusing in on it. And so that's key. So the first one is market, and this is exactly what it sounds like. This is about market context, landscape, and what is happening. To a large degree, I kind of alluded to this, but between a product marketer and a product manager, often the relationship is one in which the product marketer is thinking about 2 years ahead. Then you've got the director of product or the VP of product who's thinking a couple of years ahead. Then you've got the product manager who's thinking 6 months to a year and a half ahead. And that is the roadmap. That's what they're executing on with their the engineering team and UX team and all that stuff. The product marketer is thinking about opportunities, commercial or in terms of market share, and where you can go with that. So you're paying attention to things like industry trends and market, where the investment's going, VC, what traction's happening, what kind of technologies are emerging. The product marketer should be as upfront in terms of thinking through, agentic AI is coming on board, and this is how it could displace Gen AI, as maybe some of the forward-thinking engineers or a product manager who's specifically, product manager who's specifically focused on that. This is identifying where there's a hole in the market and understanding where you fit in the market. This will help sales understand how to prompt and direct the sales strategy, markets, what their fencing territories are and stuff like that. This will help the growth marketing team and the brand marketing team figure out a long-term strategy around positioning, because they can kind of see, hey, this is what the future is shaping out. The further ahead of this you can get, the better. And this is going to create ultimately the context in which the strategy is created that ultimately leads to a feature being thought of, written about, put on the roadmap, and built. So the second one is about context. The context has everything to do with your buyer and the ecosystem in which they're functioning. People don't just buy your app or your service or good independently. They function within a world of other products and stuff like that. So we'll often talk about landscape analysis or competitive analysis, those pieces of the puzzle in which you're trying to say, okay, here are the players who are out in the market, and this is what they're signaling, or this is, sometimes it's literally, this is what they're doing. These are the features and how they stack up to whatever we're talking about. That's a little bit about your buyer's choices. And it's also about the products that they've adopted and what they plan to adopt, or what would create better product market fit, better stickiness, better engagement between your target buyer and the products that are in the market. You got to know those gaps. So that's the second piece of the puzzle. You can see how it's a drill in. So we've gone through the market opportunity. We say, okay, I think it's going to be agentic AI, and I think it's going to be in construction. And this is where we want to go. It's going to be supply chain mechanics for construction. I mean, this makes sense because Posture's in this field. But the second piece is who's playing there and what are the buyer's choices, and what is the context that we would be entering in real terms, in real economic reality, and buyers making purchases kind of stuff. The third one is a little more intuitive, I think, for many of us who are in business, certainly in product marketing and in sales, that kind of stuff. And that's about value. This is where you start to say, okay, I know where we're going to play. I know now what the product market fit looks like and what the competition's doing. Now I can pivot towards this context of value proposition and differentiators. We can identify what pain points those buyers have, and we can start speaking to them in terms of our features and benefits. You cannot do that until you understand what the competitive landscape is. You can't identify your competitors and where you play, where your buyers are, until you know where the market opportunity is that you're choosing to go into. So you got to get through the mill to the third lens before you really start thinking about like features and benefits, how to articulate those value propositions, what the value propositions and differentiators are. What we often find is that this is the place that I personally, as a product manager, want to rush to, is that value piece, because there's a lot of science that has to go into market and context. It can be a little bit boring, but the reality is that gives you the information you need to be able to really cleanly identify your differentiators, identify pain points that people realistically have, not just something that you're making up because you want to create an app, and those pain points in the workflow or whatever it is they're doing on a daily basis that you seek to address.
And I feel like is where you can really show your authenticity. But in order to show your authenticity, you have to do the work beforehand.
That's right.
To be able to convey that.
You got to know what it actually is. You got to know the territory, to quote the Music Man, which incidentally is a musical I've never seen, but often quote.
Really?
I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, it seems like a good musical. Very grounding, to quote it. So then you move on to entry. And as I was just saying, and I think Sarah's point holds true through entry, which is then you get into the positioning and messaging. You know what those buyer pain points are. You can identify where there's opportunity to differentiate yourself. Then you talk about it. Then you start building out the messaging frameworks, the architectures. Really start thinking about where you're going to start positioning your products. And I say it that way because we don't believe positioning is static. We believe that it's a posture. It's a position, it's a stance towards the market. So where is that starting point for that stance? Where do you think you should enter the market? How do you think you should be talking about it? What should you literally be saying? And how does it build out of a reaction to the market opportunity, what your competitors are doing and saying, what you think the opportunities are to meet the pain points and your needs of your buyer? And then you can talk to them squarely based on the science piece. Mm-hmm. And then the last one we kind of talked a little bit about earlier in broader terms, and certainly it is its own science and probably in terms of the life cycle of the product, a very small one, but a very important one, which is go to market. And these kinds of initiatives, depending on the product and the size, you could be talking about go to market and be in execution stage for, years, or it could be weeks if you're doing rapid releases and stuff like that. Go to market can be a very light thing. But moving into that, what needs to be very, very clearly understood is where you're coming from and where you want to go. And then that planning process. Sometimes it does involve politics in the cross-functional groups. Sometimes it just involves a go-to-market execution person. I started my career as a go-to-market manager. And that was a relatively straightforward job because I was just, we were doing rapid releases. There weren't larger products that we were doing at the time. Later on, it became complicated. But the point is, we were on a release train in which what essentially was doing is running micro campaigns and updating salespeople and stuff like that. It was fun, fast-paced, but not that complicated. There are very complicated processes, and we've done campaigns that were a year and a half or so just getting to the point where we click send. So having a clear sense of what the plan is, objectives to that plan, and also feasibility. And that feasibility baked into that is budget. How much can we spend? Resource, how much time do we have? How many people are we going to be working on this and those kinds of things. So you got to get a real sense of it, because otherwise you're going to get halfway through this great planning cycle and realize that you don't have the resource you have, or we need to respond to a different business initiative. And this whole process gets stuck in the middle. So that's the way we talk about it. And that's kind of the component parts when we talk about the life cycle of go-to-market. When we talk about, that science and storytelling story, this is the visual that I think we like to use and do so frequently, which is that 5 lenses. And it has to be in pink and fuchsia. If it's not, you've missed the entire point. But, this as a visual helps what is a lot of little mini projects, everything from writing battle cards to figuring out the budget for the campaign. But it gives you a story arc that you can use for your stakeholders and bringing them through the process and say, well, this is where we are at this point in the process. We're talking about the context of this product. I've got this competition information or the product fit information. We did a study about product market fit and what it means in this particular environment. So here's our segmentation study. There's a lot that can be baked into this, depending on your resources and the significance of what you're doing in terms of the life cycle of your business as a whole. But this can be your story arc. These are the 5 lenses. This is how we're going to walk through it. And it provides context, it provides organization, and gives your stakeholders kind of these signposts along the journey so that they can understand and bring along. It is not their full-time job necessarily. It is not your other people in the C-suite or your coworkers in terms of cross-functional stuff in the sales team or marketing team. It's not their full-time job. So having signposts like this becomes very useful in terms of orienting people at the beginning of the conversation of what is potentially a very involved process. They have to understand the different stages of that, and quite frankly, you have to understand the different stages of it, or you will, 1, skip things, or 2, rush to conclusions that aren't founded in reality. And it'll make your go-to-market strategy, while it'll go to market, it won't hit the mark that you want it to because you didn't do the work and you didn't go through the 5 lenses to get there. So, Sarah, that's my pitch. That's what I've got. But it is actually a good conversation prompter. And I think we've used it multiple times throughout.
Well, and it allows it to be grounded and not aspirational.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Sometimes if you get, everybody's doing a different job, we're all focused on different things. So you start talking about some of the stuff and it isn't grounded, you're going to lose your stakeholder audience. And go-to-market strategy is kind of the theme of the day, the unspoken theme of the day. I'm about to speak it. Go-to-market strategy is as much about figuring out how your product gets to market and how you talk about it and how you close deals, as it is about managing your stakeholders and getting everybody on the same page, being a champion for something, and then bringing everyone along as you go. So this is one tool that has been very useful for us in that process.
Yeah. Good job.
Okay. So we will post this. If you guys go to posture.consulting, we have obviously there's our YouTube at Posture Go to Market. If you haven't subscribed to it, please do so. It helps us, and we want to stay in communication with you. Post a comment below about how you communicate about the stages of go to market. If you've got a visual that works really well for you, we want to hear that. And definitely like this. You have no idea. We sit there all day clicking refresh on the YouTube analytics to see
you sit there all day clicking refresh.
I do. I like Slack,
and then Sarah, I get Slack messages.
It's like, we're at yeah, exactly. About to cross 1,000 views. Yeah, no, it is true. So do me, tell me that sore tooth, because I want to see these things. But the other thing I was going to say is visit us at posture.consulting. In addition to more information about Posture itself, you'll find two things. One is all of these videos posted there with blog posts connected to them. So if you liked what you heard and you want to read it, you don't believe everything you read, I screwed that joke up. You don't believe everything you hear and you want to read it, go to posture.consulting. That's there. The other thing is we are in the process of taking some of the core concepts that we've talked about, and this is one of them, and putting digital downloads up there. Yes. Some with just the broad framework that you can fill in the blank on your own, some with kind of some examples on how to do it, self-guided tour kind of a stuff. So there are resources, and our goal is to build out these resources because kind of as Sarah said at the beginning, we're not only interested in, addressing the needs of you guys who are active product marketers doing the work of go-to-market strategy, or maybe wanting to move to the next level in some way in your career and looking for great tools that you can implement to, one, do the job even better than you are today, or communicate about the job that you're doing even better than you are today. But it's also useful for C-suite, CMOs and product directors of product, directors of engineering, directors of sales, those folks, because these are tools that your team can use, and you can help frame it out for them, provide scaffolding where maybe you've got some team members that need it or want it. So hopefully these resources are valuable. We've been spending some time putting them together for you, and we will continue to create downloads and blog posts and content like this as much as possible, but only available to you if you like. All in fuchsia and purple. So if you don't like that, you're going to have to change the color tint on your screen, because we ain't going to be the ones who do it. Here you go.
No, but I will say when we do work with clients, we change our colors to our clients' color.
Fair enough. Yes.
As much as it pains me.
Yes. Yeah. That's why that
not all
font
colors are my favorite.
Yeah.
Yes.
They use Montessori, Sarah. You can't be putting this in Poppins.
Comic Sans.
No. That's if a company comes to us and says, we want you to put this into our format, and they hand us a PPT that has Comic Sans, and we say, oh, I'm sorry, we can't work with you.
Okay, so that's the preschool teacher side of me. All of my classroom announcements and newsletters I had in Comic Sans. So
it is funny because in all truth, we don't do a lot of design work, but we do have the in-house capability of it. We have the tendency to just focus on the design of our materials instead of like contracting out design agency style. That's never been our gig. Our gig is more in the product marketing side of the business. But there have been many clients, I can think of 5 at the top of my head, that when we started working with them, the first piece of feedback was, hey, let's rework your brand. And we went through that process because, they had a it's stodgy or it wasn't communicating what they wanted to. And we firmly believe that fuchsia and purple communicates directly to you and your heart. If it didn't, we would update it. And you may see this get updated in the next episode or two. But my point is that, like, where things visually don't match your go-to-market strategy, and I mean right down to font, and all the brand people are currently liking this, and I appreciate that because there's something for me to look at the next time I click. But right down to your font, you got to take that seriously. You got to make sure you're communicating it. And it does start with the messaging architecture. And it does start with your segmentation. So that value piece and that entry piece, you can think about branded materials as part of your go-to-market story. It is. So it still relies on the messaging architecture product marketing is doing, because it needs to communicate what the overall architecture of that product and the go-to-market strategy is. The font is part of that. Believe it or not, people, brand font. People are, the font. We went all over the place today, Sarah. We talked about gardening. We talked about bird cams. We talked about lenses, fonts.
Amazon,
Fortnite dancing. I think that was a big deal. Right now, people are close in the window. If we want our ratios to be above 100%, we have got to hang up the phone. Oh my God. This is when a product marketer becomes too focused on social analytics. Okay. End scene. Thank you for listening. We look forward to this. Look for another drop soon.